Good morning and welcome to Economics Live.
I'm Maria Brooks.
And I'm Alexia Watson.
Today's show is about the 4 macroeconomic objectives. These are
the balance of payments,
control of inflation,
control of employment,
sustained economic growth.
Let's start with the balance of payments. First of all, the balance of payments is a record of all transactions to do with the imports and exports. Together with all international capital movements, it consists of all current accounts, the capital account and the financial account. When there are more imports than exports, this is counted as a deficit. A deficit is terrible. It leads to unemployment. The surplus is added. Tell us.
Why don't you tell us?
When there are more exports than imports. That is correct, fans. Exports than imports. Although may seeming to be good when there is lots of money coming into the country, it is bad. It leads to unemployment. As disposable income decreases, spending decreases, that's all wrong.
Hello, I'm Lisa and it's Economics Live. Hello sir, what do you know about balance of payments?
Balance of what?
Balance of payments.
I'm sorry, I'm late for my economics lesson.
Hi, excuse me. Can you tell me anything about inflation?
Isn't that something to do with when prices go up?
Can you tell me a bit more?
Oh, would you look at the time? I'm late for my business lesson.
And again, the public doesn't know anything about inflation either. It's obvious that the public doesn't know anything about economic growth and balance of payments. Let's go back to our newsroom and find out.
Welcome back from that advert. Now, let's talk about unemployment. Unemployment is to do with people who are able and willing to work but cannot find a job.
There are different types of unemployment. Seasonal unemployment, frictional, cyclical, structural and technological. Cyclical is the worst type of unemployment. It's like a vicious cycle. If the parents don't have their jobs because they can't get a job or they just don't want one, then the children may feel the same. This can also move up to a recession.
Frictional is when people are between two jobs, like they've been fired for one and they're looking for another. This is a case that is always around.
Seasonal, like it depends on the season. Like for example, Christmas. You need more toys for children, and you need more workers for the factory. So that will employ more workers during the Christmas era, and then after Christmas is over, they're going to lay off workers because they won't need that many workers for the factory.
The next one is structural unemployment. This is when a whole sector collapses. Many jobs are lost and many people are made unemployed. E.g., the coal mining during the 20th century.
Inflation is the general increase in the price of goods and services. A 0 to 4% inflation rate is good. Hyperinflation is when prices increase at a rapid rate. This is 50% and above. Disinflation is when inflation is still going on but at a lower rate. Deflation is when prices decrease. There are 2 types of inflation, demand pull and cost push. Demand pull inflation occurs when there is too much spending in the economy by consumers and the government. A country is said to be fully employed, that is, it is using all its factors of production and it cannot supply anymore. So, supply is said to be almost vertical. Cost push inflation occurs when the cost of production are increasing. So, since rent and overheads are increasing, firms will have to increase their prices to compensate for the increase in costs of producing the goods and services. So, workers will demand a higher wage rate. And even when there is no excess demand in the economy, cost of production will still rise. There are 5 effects of inflation. 1, it tends to accelerate. That is, when inflation has been going on for some time, workers will begin to anticipate future price increases. So they will base their wage claims on the increases in past prices and on expected future price increases. And so firms will also have to raise their prices. This will speed up the rate of inflation. 2. It affects the distribution of income. So those who are connected to the index-linked income, when inflation occurs, workers and trade unions can bargain an increase in income to compensate for the increase in the prices. So those whose salaries are linked to the index-linked income automatically get higher wages. However, those who are attached to the fixed income, for example, the unemployed who receive government benefits as well as pensioners and students, will not benefit from the index-linked income, since when inflation occurs, their income stays the same, so their value of money decreases and goods and services are becoming more expensive to buy, so their living standards decrease. Borrowers gain at the expense of lenders. That is, if you borrow 1,000 dirhams from a bank for 1 year and you repay it the next year and prices increase during that year by 10%, then the money which you borrowed has more value than the money that the lender actually gets. 4. It affects the balance of payments. For example, if the prices of locally produced goods, that is exports in the UK, increases, then the aggregate demand for these goods will decrease. So firms will have to lay off workers since they'll have to produce more, and consumers will buy more imports, foreign goods, because they're cheaper, and inflation leads to a balance of payments deficit where there are more imports than exports. The last one is inflation can get out of control. This is called runaway or hyperinflation that occurred in Germany in 1923 when prices rose at an astronomical rate.
Economic growth is a measure of goods and services a country produces each year. It is measured by GDP, which is gross domestic product. To increase economic growth, we use some of the factors of production, which is capital, labor, technology, and mobility. Capital, you would use machinery. This would increase the productivity and the efficiency. Labor, the more natural resources that you have, this would increase the output. The more land, the more you can build on, the more factory you can produce, the more output you can produce. Technological. As technology increases, the productivity and efficiency of products will be better and will take less time. Technology decreases the time taken that a product is made. For mobility, this is the willingness and the ability to shift its economic resource from declining and low growth industries to industries which have a better growth.
Benefits and costs of economic growth. Benefits are: tourism will increase, so employment will then increase income and consumer spending, will then increase standards of living, and GDP per capita will increase as well. Education and healthcare will increase, so export and military strength. Costs of economic growth: loss of wildlife, pollution, traffic, and it can also lead to recession and inflation.
Thank you for watching Economics Live.
I'm Alexei Watson.
And I'm Abigail Brooks.